The gigantic government sucks. Pursuit of happiness radio is deluxe. Liberty and freedom will make you smile. The pursuit of happiness on your radio dial. Just as cheeseburgers and liberty fries, it's pursuit of happiness time.
Okay, it's 100 days of Trump. Today, congratulations, Trump. Or 100 days of hell for your non-binary fluid coworker, ladies and gentlemen. 100 days of stress wrinkles for Rachel Maddow. Oh, poor Rachel Maddow. For those that don't know, we are, let me fix that camera there. We're live streaming on X and Bookface and Instagram. And actually, I don't know if I'm on Instagram. We're on the Tube of Views. And then we're on, where are we? Rumble. We're new to Rumble. If you're new to Rumble, I'm new to Rumble. I couldn't tell you how to find us on Rumble, but apparently we're there. I'm Kenny Webster. Thanks so much for joining us. Guests this afternoon, State Representative Steve Toth will be stopping by shortly. He is at the state capitol right now, and there is, oddly enough, a bill is being debated and voted on today in Texas State. I can't believe this is a real thing. Dade Phelan, the former Texas House Speaker, wants to outlaw memes. Well, he wants to regulate memes. He wants to make it so you can't have a meme without the government's permission. There's no way that this is constitutional. There's no way the First Amendment would allow for a thing. But anyway, it's a thing today. If you're a Texas state taxpayer, voter, property owner, that's what your elected officials are up to today, among other things. Even a bill to decide if judges, not you, unless you're a judge, are allowed to have darker tint on your windshield in your car window. It's just ridiculous. Thank you very much. Texas, with Republicans like this, who needs Democrats? You know what I mean? Brandon Waltons will be here as well from TexasScorecard.com. We're going to talk about all of that. And my buddy Ethan Buchanan is stopping by with the latest from the world of cross-dressing he, she's. And we'll get into that in a little bit. Stick around. He's not one. He's our Zoomer. He does a radio show here on the weekends. Before we get to any of that, in 100 days of Trump, one might wonder, how are things going? You know what? I should have had the border music prepared already. Can I get a little bit of, let me get the illegal immigrant music, if y'all don't mind. Crank it up. Crank up the illegal immigrant jams. Sorry, my computer's going slow. Here we go. Ah, yes. Muy caliente. So, you remember the Chilean illegal immigrant that was arrested for stealing DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, Secretary Hottie, formerly Governor Hottie's purse? That guy was arrested in New York, turns out last month, for basically doing the same thing. The funniest part about that news story, that guy did not know that he was stealing from Kristi Noem. Imagine not just stealing from the head of ICE, or the head of the Border Patrol, or Tom Homan, the border czar. No, all of those people's bosses, their hot female boss, Kristi Noem, it's like unintentionally trying to mug a UFC fighter. It's so stupid. It's like the punchline to a joke. It's like a scene out of a movie. Now, we have also learned, apparently, the DOJ has charged an Iraqi man for voting illegally in the 2020 election. These things happen regularly, but the media pretends it doesn't, like it's not a real thing. It goes on regularly. Illegal immigration happens pretty frequently, and sadly enough, illegal voting happens frequently, and often is the case those two things collide together. Meanwhile, we are deporting 4,000 people with student visas who are guilty of criminal students with visas, foreign students that have been convicted of. What were the crimes? Things like robbery, assault. Why do these people get to have a student visa in the first place? There's no way that's controversial. We're deporting people that came here to learn to do chemistry or gender lit, and instead they came here and assaulted someone or robbed someone. Yeah, get them the hell out of here. Sorry, get the hell out of my country and kiss my ass. The first 100 days of Trump so far, whatever you think of the guy, however you feel about my man Donald J. Trump, and the J does stand for genius, one thing that is indisputably true, he has fixed the border crisis overnight. You understand, we used to have something upwards of 5,000 illegal immigrants coming over the border a day, and that's apparently a conservative estimate. So far, since Donald Trump took over as president, there have been 9 illegal immigrants that were detained and released at the border And apparently, according to Tom Homan, it was all because they were having health issues, medical issues, like they were bleeding out or something. So the only way you can get into the country illegally is if you cut your hand off and show it to the Border Patrol agents, and then they'll direct you to the nearest hospital, whatever the Spanish word for is for that. Nobody knows. And they might not speak Spanish. It could be Portuguese or Arabic. We have no idea. And anyway, with all that being said, thank God Donald Trump is now in charge of the federal government. Things are vastly better. 100 days in, the border has effectively been closed down to illegal immigrants. This is promises kept, promises made. As of mid-afternoon Monday, the 47th president signed 137 executive orders, according to the Federal Register. The A to Z orders cover everything from artificial intelligence to zero-based regulatory budgets. But the thing that was the most effective of all the things that he's done so far, whatever you think of Ukraine, however you feel about Israel, one thing that is indisputably true, Donald Trump, in the matter of 3 months, has solved the illegal immigration crisis. For those that have not looked yet, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen this, everybody's been laughing about this. Yesterday, they put up placards, yard signs on the front lawn of the White House, and they all had pictures of different illegal immigrants on it who had committed serious, gross, disgusting crimes, crimes against children, murder, trafficking, fentanyl, human smuggling, the worst dregs of society that have been captured, arrested, and they're either being detained right now or deported down to El Salvador. In every one of these cases, these are terrible people. And they did it in the perfect place where they set up these placards. They, the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, and her team of people at the communications department for the White House set up these things in the exact place on the front lawn of the White House where the MSNBC and CNN news reporters stand, using the White House as the backdrop, making it impossible not to show it on TV. But Jake Tapper didn't like it. Rachel Maddow wasn't a fan. So what did Wolf Blitzer do? They blurred out the MSNBC and CNN actually blurred out the posters so you couldn't see the faces of these dangerous illegal immigrants. Now, I'm sure I don't have to tell you, they didn't blur Donald Trump's mugshot. Why would they? They didn't blur Steve Bannon's mugshot. No, they loved that, right? Roger Stone didn't get his mugshot blurred. They blurred the faces of illegal immigrants because, once again, protecting the worst people in society is the most important thing to them.
You've got Kenny Webster's Pursuit of Happiness on KPRC 950.
Hey, if you're watching us right now, I am going to be joined shortly this afternoon. Steve Toth and Brandon Waltons are here. Ethan Buchanan coming up in just a minute. Before we get to any of that, a quick reminder at ilovewj.com, we got merch, y'all. We got really cool merch. We have Doge merch. We have Gulf of America merch. We have Walton and Johnson flasks. Sneak your favorite liquor into your favorite overpriced music venue. Why pay top dollar for PBR at the local honky tonk when you can sneak alcohol into a flask, enjoy your favorite bourbon and more? Go to ilovewj.com right now. You'll be glad you did. Today is International Dance Day. Many iconic celebrities got their start as dancers. Apparently, Paula Abdul did too. My next guest will not understand that joke. Ethan, you're too young to even know who that is. You don't know who Paula Abdul is. Ethan Buchanan just walked in. He is the he's the Sunday evening talk show host. We wanted to freshen up our weekend broadcast lineup. So on Sunday evenings, we now feature not state senator, but Senator Ted Cruz. Maybe the most controversial politician in America other than Donald Trump, certainly in the Republican Party. Every Sunday night, we have Ted Cruz live on the radio with us. And then we have 22-year-old Ethan Buchanan from the KTRH newsroom down the hall. Ethan, what's it like being a Zoomer and a news reporter? What is that like for you?
Well, most of my peers are not the kind of people that I want to be my peer. We all know what the media industry is. We all know what the vast majority of the news and journalism industry is. And it's embarrassing for the most part. It really is. So it's a struggle. But thankfully, I do what I do on AM radio, where most people are reasonable.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that, but there's a podcast of your show, and we stream live on social media. KPRC 950 can be heard on FM radio in Houston on 94.53 HD. Obviously, 950 is the oldest radio station in Texas, but we also stream live on social media where people are leaving comments. Like Mark said, Trumpstein is putting Israel first ahead of USA always. Mark doesn't like Israel or Trump, apparently. And then Logan says, does Kenny read the comments? And Jimmy says, not since their old website was taken down. Joke's on you guys. I'm reading your comments right now. You guys could have said something way more interesting than that, and then hundreds of people, if not thousands, would have heard me read your comment, but instead you wasted it. Nice job. Nice job, Jimmy. Jimmy Eat Dirt? No, that's a band, Jimmy Eat World. I'm happy you're here right now, Ethan, because your generation does something my generation does not often do. And that is this: cut off our penises and participate in sporting events. Now, I don't mean to pick on the Zoomers, because Zoomers didn't invent this, right? Zoomers did not invent so-called gender-affirming care.
No, we got it from you guys.
No, you're right. Exactly. Like when our generation makes fun of you guys for spending too much money at Starbucks, I always like to remind the other millennials and Gen Xers and baby boomers, like, we built the Starbucks. It's really our fault that you're going there.
Y'all walked so that we could run.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
And boy, did we run.
But it's the same thing here. Trans-identified male swimmer dominates women's event at the U.S. Masters Spring Championships. This happened in Texas over the weekend. Anna Caldas, formerly known as Hugo Caldas, is a middle-aged competitive swimmer, and she has never been good. He has never been good at swimming. When he was a guy, he lost all the time. Never came in, never got any accolades, never won any events. Last weekend, Caldas entered 5 individual events for women: the 50, the 100-yard breaststroke, the 50 and 100-yard freestyle, the 100-yard individual medley. Guess how many of them he won, Ethan?
I'm going to go for a clean sweep. That's where I would put my money.
You are correct, Ethan. Amazingly, this cross-dressing weirdo has, I don't know what it is about having a third leg that makes women swim so much faster.
I will say, I have never wanted legalized sports betting in Texas more than now. I mean, if we had legalized sports betting,
right,
we'd all be rich.
Sure. Yeah, the worst part about the trans in sports, and I say this reluctantly, begrudgingly, if you will, having men compete in women's sports does make women's sports more entertaining, does it not?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we all love to rag on the WNBA, but it really is the perfect example. I don't know. I do know what it is. Men are just naturally more athletic on average.
Right.
And so if you're watching as a man to be like, oh my gosh, that's so cool, I wish I could do that. You know, the same reason we watch action movies. Most guys don't think they could single-handedly rescue the president from an airplane, but we all like to think that we could, and that's why we watch movies. It's the same with sports. Most guys know that they can't catch an 81-yard pass from downfield and then run it in for a touchdown. We know we can't do that.
Sure.
But it's cool to be like, what if I could? And so that's why we watch sports. But then if you're watching the WNBA and you see a bunch of women miss a three-pointer, I could miss a three-pointer. I'm a white guy with asthma. I'll miss three-pointers all day. I don't need to watch TV to do that.
You know what, Ethan? I believe you. I also believe that women's sports generally not as entertaining as men's sports are. It's sad. It's not fair. But there is news today in the world of what was the word you came into my studio earlier and used? What's the word, Ethan?
Oh, gosh. I don't know if I should say it. It's an abbreviation. It comes, I believe, from the Latin root word, tranny.
Tranny. No, you could say tranny. No, you had another word. It was a new buzzword. It wasn't tranny. We've all heard tranny before. That, you know, we've heard that. What was the other word you used when you came in? What was it you were going to tell me about?
I don't know. You've lost me.
You had a story. We were doing transgender stuff for a reason. You had a story involving the trans. What was the point of this segment?
Oh, the British people.
Okay, what? That's right. Okay, so
the Brits.
England recently decided in their own Supreme Court. Yes, apparently the British people have a Supreme Court as well. Apparently, it may even be more conservative than ours because they shut down.
Maybe.
The recent rulings in British Supreme Court have made it so that transgender people are maybe less welcome there than they are here. Shockingly, this was not what most of us expected, especially when it came to things like sports. Tell me about this transgender social media influencer.
Yeah, so it's this. It's a dude. He really wants us to pretend that he is a lady.
Sure.
I'll give him credit. From a distance, you might make a mistake and have to do a double take, but he had the bright idea of filming with the camera as close to his face as possible, so you can really tell. You can see the Adam's apple. But his whole thing was, I'm transgender and I can't stand to live in America anymore because it's just not safe for transgender people.
Is this the video right here?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the guy.
Is this clean for radio airplay? I guess we'll figure that out.
I believe
for
so.
everybody who may not know what's going on with me, I've decided to leave the country, and after deliberating on a few different plans and figuring out where things might be best.
By the way, do I even have to point out the obvious thing here? No matter how much surgery they get, no matter how many hormones they take, no matter how much they look like a girl, they never sound like one.
Never.
It's always a guy saying, I'm a girl now. This is how I talk. No, you sound like a Muppet.
I decided to come to the United Kingdom, which has been a huge mistake, I must say. Not only the April 16th law that passed invalidating trans people's genders and the 2010 Equality Act has transpired. When I first got here, things seemed pretty okay and warm, welcoming, and a lot of support, but something about the United Kingdom that I've noticed, and from speaking to other people as well as what's happened with Brexit, tensions shift very quickly when laws...
Wait. I'm sorry to pause on the stupidest thing that this person just said, but there is no way that that an American who just moved to England is affected by Brexit. Brexit was a thing that happened several years ago.
Yeah, 2016.
Where England left the European Union. You've never lived in England before it left the European Union. How does that affect you? The United States wasn't part of the European Union. What that's what you're mad about? No, you're just saying buzzwords. You have liberal Tourette's.
Change. And yeah, I've found myself not welcome in places I was welcome just on my initial arrival here very quickly. It's been quite terrifying, quite traumatizing. Literally.
This person is so unwelcome in England that they're allowed to freely walk around and talk about their gender. Look, I think the laws in England are crazy. You can get arrested there for doing journalism, but there's no way that they're hurting trans people by not letting them compete in women's sports. Just start your own sports league.
About an hour ago, I was assaulted by 3 men on the London Underground who tried to steal my phone.
Does this look like a person that was assaulted 3 hours ago?
Yeah, it's funny. We saw this. It was a similar claim made in a Charlie Kirk video. Somebody claimed that they had experienced some just terrible form of racism. They always make this claim, and then when you ask them, well, okay, this terrible thing happened to you. I agree if it did happen, it's terrible and bad, and we should do something about it. Did you go to the police? No. Can you describe in any detail what exactly happened or when or what they said? No, it just occurred. And you didn't feel the need to tell anybody about this until it became convenient politically? I don't believe you.
Yeah, it's an ideology that they're forcing down our throats, figuratively and maybe even literally as well. Here in the greater Houston area, it was like a decade ago. You were a kid when this happened, and we had the first lesbian mayor of a big city in America. Her name was Anise Parker, and we had some mean names for her. Not us, other people. Other people called her Anise Porker and Anus Porker, and I don't approve any of that. I don't think that, no, never, that's not funny. Don't laugh at that, Ethan. But this woman was embraced by local Democrats, Christian black Democrats, elected this person, made her our mayor. And then, right as she was walking out the door, finishing up her last term as mayor, we have term limits, thank God, she tried to pass something called the HERO Ordinance. The HERO Ordinance was a law that basically allowed men to use the bathroom with little girls. And we've seen this happen all over the country at this point. So but at the time it was new. This was a decade ago. It was shocking. Wait, what? In Texas we're going to have that? They had a vote on it. It was one of those prop votes or whatever. It got crushed. In a city where Anise Parker won by a wide margin, they were happy to have a lesbian mayor. Local liberal Democrats in Houston, black Christian Democrats, did not want men to use the bathroom with little girls. So this bill lost like 80 to 20 or something. I don't remember what the numbers were. It was a lot. It was way more than the 10-point margin that would make it even worth having a second vote. That got crushed. Out with the old, in came the new. In came a new county judge. It's kind of like the mayor of the county, not the mayor of the city. The executive in charge of the county, that was Lena Hidalgo. And the first thing she did was make it so trannies could use the bathroom. It was when you go into the men's room at the park right down the street from here, they have little garbage cans in there, Ethan. Do you know why the men's bathroom stalls have little garbage cans? They never had them before. Could you guess?
Tampons.
That's correct. Tampons, yeah. That's correct. And then they changed the signs on the bathroom doors so that it's a man sign, a woman sign, and then like a half man, half woman. It's almost like they're making fun of trannies with the sign that they put up. I run in the park a lot, so I see this person a lot. There's a dude who's like 6'5", muscular, overweight, giant Adam's apple, and he wears little tennis skirts. He's trying to look like a woman, jogging. I see him there all the time, and I'll watch this man walk into the women's room, and I see women leave when he enters the bathroom. It's clearly an unpopular idea. No matter how much the medical industry, no matter how much the mental health industry tries to force feed this to us, the vast majority of people still don't like it.
Yeah, and the ironic thing is it actually goes back to the argument that they were using probably 10 or 15 years ago, which is, privacy. That's how they kind of push the gay marriage thing, was like, hey, we just want people to do whatever they want and have their privacy and whatever. And I think most people are kind of on board with that. Fair enough. I'm a libertarian. Go for it. Do what you want. I don't care. But the moment you start trying to encroach on other people's privacies, which, whether you like it or not, even a public restroom, you expect some degree of privacy there. The moment you say, hey, by the way, we're going to put this person of the opposite gender in there with you and you can't say no, okay, well, that's an encroachment of my privacy. In the same way that you said you want your privacy, I want mine. Do what you want at home. We're not at home. We're in a public space. Leave me alone. Get out of the bathroom.
Yeah, I think the real lesson here, too, as I'm running around the park down the street from the radio station, everything is bigger in Texas, even the Adam's apple on the transgender.
You're listening to Kenny Webster's Pursuit of Happiness. Please, if you're offended by anything you heard, take out a piece of paper, write down a detailed description of what bothered you, and fax it to 1-888. Nobody gives a
Hey, I got to run, guys. Don't forget, we are back this afternoon at 3 p.m. on KPRC 950 for a full hour of talk radio. We're also on the air weekdays, Monday through Friday, 5:30 to 10 a.m. on about a dozen radio stations around the country. It's called 24 radio stations. It's called The Walton and Johnson Show. Download our smartphone app.